members of the public and of course the staff to what is generally seen as the most important meeting of the Regional Council calendar, which is the annual plan hearings, which of course sets the direction, course of travel, etc. for the next 12 months. So I will ask Councillor Bevan to please take us through the prayer. He's asked me to tender an apology. I'm not that happy about this, to be blunt, but I will tender an apology. Of course, we get to vote on that. So, but anyway, he's not here, and he has let me know with 13 and a half hours grace. So, someone happy to move that we accept that apology. Thank you. And seconder, okay, put that motion. Oh, you wish to speak? With your microphone.
Especially for June who can't hear. So better get it a bit closer. This is our major consultation of the year. This is about our working plan for the year to come, our budgets. This is a chance for the public to have their say and have an input. No one who's is absent from here can make decisions on that plan going forward because they haven't heard the evidence. And this is the one time that this is the most important consultation that we do through the whole year is on our council business. So I don't think a last minute, if you had a heart attack and ended up in hospital, I'd accept the apology willingly. But I think that in circumstances like this, councillors actually have a total obligation to be here. I'm here and I'm not in the Kuril Islands because this is my commitment to the public.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Mover, you wish to speak?
I spoke to Councillor Barker last night. He was pretty keen to be here. We discussed the importance of this event these 2 days, and we actually talked about this is really democracy working, and he's very conscious of that. This is the true nature of what we do here, but he's right in the middle of a treaty settlement that he just can't get out of. So his apologies are sincere and genuine.
Thank you. Well, I'll put that motion in. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no.
No.
Carried. Thank you. Okay. Notices. In the form of a notice this morning, I'd just like to remind us about what we have in front of us actually for the next couple of days, considering there are some new faces around the table. The significance of today and tomorrow is probably in everyone puts their heart and soul into their submissions. And they come here and quite often are nervous, are unsure of how the thing proceeds. They have 10 minutes and it's a pretty defined 10 minutes. We have a whole list of people to get through, and as you've seen in the past, whether you're the Mayor of Hastings or anyone, you get your 10 minutes and that's it. And it's a timetable that I suggest we will stick to with some vigour. Otherwise, we run the risk of some people get more time than others because they may be more eloquent or etc., which is not really where we should be going with this. So I also ask councillors to, show everyone respect, whether you agree with the position that the person's taking or otherwise, and perhaps think a little deeper into what effort has gone into them making this presentation and the time they've put into it, and the sincerity or whatever of their conviction and the questions they are asking us. Ultimately, this whole process ends up with us digesting the information that's presented to us through the verbal process and, of course, the submissions that aren't spoken to, and making a decision on whether or not we alter the draft annual plan. And that's pretty much where we end up. So Mr Drury will talk to us shortly about some of the implications of allocating extra monies and what that might look like. It's a pretty straightforward mathematical formula, I understand, which he will talk about shortly. But just make the most of the next couple of days to those that have not been through this process before, because as has already been said, it is democracy in action, and it is our chance to actually get in front of our community and hear directly what they feel and what they have to say. So it's a very important part of your time as councillors. So actually, as part of that, are there any questions before we go forward? Councillor Pipe.
Just a follow-up from what Councillor Scott said. I just want some clarification about the voting and being involved in the process if you're not here. Obviously, Councillor Barker is not here. How does that exclude?
Well, the apologies for the whole hearing, which is 2 days.
So how does that exclude him from any decision making later on?
In this hearing process, no, it doesn't. No. So when we get to the adopting the annual plan, he has full rights, as does everyone else. He just is not part of the process of decisions on the way through, because he's not here, and if he hasn't heard someone speaking, he can't make a decision on what they've said. So it's a normal hearing process. Yes, Councillor.
Mr. Chair, I understood that he was only going to miss today and he was going to be here tomorrow.
In the email reply I've given him, I've said he will miss tomorrow as well, because he can't make decisions on discussions he hasn't heard today.
So because he can't do one day, he's knocked out of the other. Is that
That's
right?
correct, yeah. Normal hearing process. You can be a commissioner right through, but you can't come in halfway through and make an informed decision. So, any other questions? Any comments on that particular note from staff? No. Okay, thank you.
Is that sensible? If he can be here tomorrow?
Is it?
I don't want snickering from you. Is that sensible?
Order, Councillor.
Yeah.
Is it sensible?
Well, that's right. I mean, he might as well... you're saying he won't understand, but he still has a vote, and yet 50% of the time he can actually be here?
Yeah, well, it is tracking at about 50%. You're quite right. No, absolutely not. How could you come in halfway through a hearing and make a decision when you haven't heard all the evidence?
But he's still going to have rights to vote on it in the future. Absolutely,
because we work our way through this process, those of us that are here, but he's still a councillor.
So wouldn't it be sensible that the time he could be here, he is here?
No, inappropriate.
I just don't get that.
Commissioner Bevan should get that. He's just done a commissioner's course. Okay. Conflict of interest declarations. Councillor Dick.
Mr Chairman, a notice. In terms of the interest register, I just wish to advise and have it noted that I have resigned from the position of interim chair of the Napier Gisborne Rail Establishment Group. My successor will be here with the group tomorrow, and accordingly I intend to take full part in the hearings and the eventual decision making.
Okay. That noted. Okay. Any other notices? Okay. Conflict of interest declarations. Councillor Scott.
I don't believe I do have conflict of interest, Mr Chairman, but I do like to put it on the record. I do belong to EJP, who are a submitter. I absented myself from all meetings where any discussion on the submission was held. And the only advice I gave the group was on the process of making a submission and when it was due. I'm also, Mr Chair, a member of TANK, and I notified them also of my position and asked that any submission was not passed by me in any discussion on it, cut me out. They didn't quite manage to stick to that, although they acknowledged it, but I did not read any of the email exchanges around their submission either. Also wish to declare that I did have a call from a submitter last night that pointed out to that submitter that the process is a public process, that the written submissions are public, the oral submissions are public, and that the only evidence should be heard should be in public. And so I did not discuss the matter with them.
Thank you. Okay, no other declarations. Item 3, minutes of the last council meeting, 28th of May. Right, page 2-3 for accuracy, please. Page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9. Yes.
I checked these online last week and they weren't there. I haven't actually had time to read them properly. Could we defer this
Consider them later in the meeting?
Till after lunch, just for accuracy? We are going through several pages for accuracy and I've only scanned them.
That's fair. Any concern with that? No, okay. We'll attend to them in the course of the meeting over the next 2 days.
Thank you.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Decision item 5, if you go to page 3 in your agenda, and I'll hand that over to the Chief Executive, although it is pretty straightforward. But
Thank you, Mr Chairman. I will take the covering agenda item really as read. It outlines the process which the Chairman has already briefly outlined to you in the notices section, and also covers off the public engagement that was undertaken around the draft annual plan. The process, of course, is that all those who wish to be heard now have the opportunity to present their submission orally to the Council, but all the submissions will be decided upon during the course of this meeting over the next 2 days, and we will work our way through that once we're satisfied that all the submissions around a particular topic have been heard and there is space available, you can go back and make your recommendations on that. So with that, Mr Chairman, we can move that.
We need to move this recommendation to actually start the hearing, don't we? So,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Or are you happy to? Any questions? Sorry, on page...
page 4 of the agenda, Councillor, just to receive and consider the verbal and written submission.
Yeah. Question, Councillor Hewitt.
Just with regard to, it's noted here that only one person turned up on Waipawa, but the members of my community understood that they were going to a joint meeting, so there were 40 or 50 people at the joint meeting. It was just the councillors who weren't advised of the venue.
Yeah, that is true. I hadn't picked up on that. There was a little bit of confusion around the actual venue, and in the end, there was when we moved next door, there was 40 members of the public there. We held a joint public meeting with the Central Hawke's Bay District on their draft annual plan, and so there were a number of people there to hear both.
Okay, no further questions. You're happy to move, Councillor Scott? We had a seconder for that. Thank you, Councillor Bevan. I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. What is our time? I see we have our first submitter here. Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authorities, so welcome.